Hi, I'm Angela Williams, and welcome to Voice Up for the Voiceless. This is a podcast that addresses the tough issue of child sexual abuse and exploitation, and we hope we're shedding light on a deep and dark subject.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I'm Christa Marshall, and we are so excited to kind of dive into our topic that we have today. But before that, we just want to say thank you again for tuning in with us today. I also want to encourage you to like, subscribe, and share this podcast to your friends, your family, anyone that you feel like would need the information that we're giving today.
So, Christa.
Oh, Lord.
This is a tough subject today.
Yeah.
And one that I hope that if you're a survivor that you really hear us.
Yes.
Because we're going to dive into the topic of shame. And
Wow.
for so many survivors, they just, I say they wear it like a wet blanket, the shame.
Yes.
And it's heavy, and it's, when you have a wet blanket on, even wet clothes on, it's like it sticks to your body, and it's.
You've described that. I feel that
mildew, and
yeah.
as I shared many times on the podcast, but I suffered for 14 years, and I feel like every year I got a bigger, thicker coat of shame layered on me, because as I went through every developmental stage as a child, my abuse was from 3 to 17. So every part of my identity was wrapped up in trying to hide this horrible secret. And I describe in my book, From Sorrows to Sapphires, that I would literally sit in front of a mirror and try to just claw my face. It was like there was a wax coating on my body that I just wanted to claw off. And I would, even to this day, I'm sorry to admit this, but I will get the water as hot as I can get it in a bathtub and just almost scald myself in trying to feel clean.
Yeah,
And
a lot of survivors deal with that. That's actually one of the things that we work through at our organization is bath time and showers and all of those things, because that is true. But with that, can I ask you a question? So we know what shame is, right? But what's the difference between shame, for instance, and guilt? Like, how do you decipher?
Well, guilt is I have done something bad. Shame says I am bad. Shame is that identity. It's a shame-based identity that it filters everything that you do.
Yeah.
It filters your self-esteem, your confidence, your worth, your value. And it's one of the main things that survivors deal with, because they take on the perversion that's being done to them, the abuse that's being done to them, and it makes them feel dirty, and it makes them feel filthy, and they don't have a voice. They can't make it stop. And for many of us, your body responds. You can't stop your body from responding. And then there's more shame heaped on because you responded. And your abuser heaps shame on you. And the silence heaps more shame on you. And it's one of the most challenging things that people just they're so ashamed of what's happened. They don't want to tell anybody. They don't want to disclose. And I feel that. I know. I mean, I tried as a child to tell in different ways without using my words and really telling what was happening. But I had told a teacher once that I was going to lay my head on my desk and die because I had taken a bottle of vitamins. I think I was 7 or 8. And then I told another teacher I had been raped and trying to get some attention, to get some help. And that was immediately shut down. And then I didn't tell anybody else till I was 15 years old. I told a friend in high school. So carrying that secret, that too, and you feel so different from everybody else.
Yeah.
Even if you're not, you tell yourself you are.
Right.
Because of this experience that you have no control over.
Wow. So shame is definitely an identity.
It is an identity.
Wow. And where did you see identity, for instance, in your story? Where did you see shame show up to where you couldn't be the full person of who you were when you were 15, 16, 17?
Just masking, trying to fit in, just putting on masks, being a chameleon. With the party crowd, I was the party girl. With the church crowd, I was the church girl, not knowing who I was, not feeling confident in my own skin.
Right.
And it's taken me, I'm I'm saying almost 60. I am 60. I'm not almost. I'm 60 years old, and I'm just conquering that. And it rears its ugly head every once in a while. But I'm still conquering that. It's to be comfortable in my own skin and who God created me to be. And I'm sorry if it doesn't please you, but this is who I am.
That's who you are.
This is how I was built. This is how I was designed.
Yes, yes.
And just being comfortable with that and being okay with that.
Yeah.
Because I think as a survivor, especially those of us who've experienced complex trauma, which means it's happened year after year after year, you just want to be okay. You just want to be accepted and loved and just be okay. We had a guest on that talked about a normie. People who haven't gone through sexual abuse, we look at them with envy. They're a normal person, a normie. Yeah. So you just want to be okay.
Gosh, yeah, I know that's definitely one of those things. Okay, but then okay doesn't look like what you think it looks like, and that's where perfectionism comes in and all these other identities because of the shame of your experience and what you had personally went through. And I know a lot of times, like when I'm working with some of our teenagers, our 13s, our 14s, our 15s, 16s, we'll be talking about a situation, for instance, like a person looked at them. Like a guy would be like, oh, she's cute. And they would look over and my girls would be like, he just gave me the ick. And I don't know, have you heard that before? The ick. Yeah. And so the ick is that feeling that they get over their body that kind of resonates with what you were saying, that feeling of shame, and that again turns into their identity. And then from the ick that they got, you'll see them start kind of spiraling or having a little bit of a trigger or whatever it may be, because the ick was part of their identity, through the abuse and everything else that they had went through. So that's one of those things that we really do work through is shame and understanding who you are and understanding that shame, like that feeling was never yours. That was the sin of someone else. And so you don't take that on as part of your identity. And we work through it and we talk through it and we get them into therapy. So make sure that their bodies are understanding that. And then we do the soul care. It's a holistic approach of dealing and overcoming shame for sure. So.
Well, I know I had to do a lot of retraining my thought patterns and identifying when I was going into that place of shame or feeling that shame, whether it was feeling the sensations in my body or in my mind emotionally. And I had to begin to write affirmations. And I used a lot of scripture to write on my mirror. I'm the apple of his eye. He sings songs over me. I am, knitted together in my mother's womb. I'm wonderfully made. Just affirmations to tell myself who my identity is, which is in Christ Jesus, that he designed me and he designed me perfectly. And he did not design the abuse that I had to endure. But a lot of overcoming it was just stopping and realizing that this thought or this action was based out of a place of shame and not out of a place of confidence and confidence in who I am in him.
Wow. So how did that confidence start resonating in your heart? That's the hard part. So what you said, it makes sense, right? Like here, logically, in our mind, that makes complete sense. Okay, that wasn't me. That was them. This is who God created me to be. So I'm going to hold on to that, hold on to this. But yet your heart gets pierced by the shame when you've gone through sexual abuse.
Well, I would say my sweet husband has helped me a lot, especially with body image and intimacy and all those things that shame affects in your life. So he's been very sweet and very gentle and very affirming of who I am. But I think just that persistence, if I can say anything to survivors, it's the persistence. It's the constant pursuit of your identity in Christ. It's the constant chasing after Jesus. And, Jesus, I know this isn't of you because it feels bad. It feels evil. It feels dirty. So replacing those thoughts, replacing those, even in a body image, I'm safe right now. Telling yourself I'm safe. I'm not being abused. I am loved for me, not for my body, but for me and who I am. And so I think it's that constant pursuit of trying to heal your way out of that shame-based identity. And I actually, can you grab that book behind you? For those that would like to kind of dig deeper in this, I actually wrote a book called Shattering the Shame. And this is a great book because it's survivors' stories. It's different stories and how they overcame the shame. So you can get that at angelasvoice.com/resources. And that's just if you're just kind of starting to unravel how shame is played out in your life. But I would say of the thousands of survivors that I've counseled with, I can't think of anyone that did not have shame as part of their story. How does your daughter, has she been able to address that, or did she have any shame? She was so young when it happened.
You know, and I think that, I mean, for sure you have shame because the abuser was biological dad. So there's just the shame of knowing that you're related to the person that hurt you. You know, there's the shame of maybe if you don't remember fully what happened, you know that there's something, you know, that's there. And again, the ick, that feeling of like, I don't know what this is. And, you know, so yes, she's definitely dealt with shame. She dealt with shame sometimes to the point to where it has nothing to do with the abuse, but it's because she didn't perform the way that she thought she should have. You know, so let's say, for instance, if she wanted to score or make an A on a test, but she got a B, now there's a shame. I'm not good enough. It's me, my identity. I, you know, and so that's shame because she doesn't feel like she lived up to the potential that she should have had in her mind. So yes, definitely unraveling that, just even in real life, even outside of thinking just about abuse. What if you go to the grocery store and you get the non-organic milk, you know, and you feel shame because the person here has the organic every single thing in their cart, you know? It's just, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough. Because of what's happened to me, I'm less than.
And I think survivors take on the abuse as they were part of it. They were consensual in it when they weren't. And I think that y'all need to hear me now, please. I said y'all. It's my Southern coming out. But y'all need to hear me that you, that's not yours. That heavy, wet blanket belongs to your abuser, belongs to your perpetrator. So you need to take that heavy, wet blanket off and, you know, mentally put it on them because you don't need to carry that. You did nothing wrong. And I think we grow up with that sense of feeling like I did something horrible. And you didn't. It was done to you.
Absolutely.
By someone else. Right. And you didn't have a choice. And you didn't have a voice. So I think to your perspective and constantly telling myself that I was not consensual. A child can't give consent. I was not consensual in this. Right. I maybe was compliant or complacent because I was terrified. Yes. And I was groomed. Yes. And I dealt with a lot of physical violence too as a part of my abuse. So that kind of takes your worth away too and makes you feel very ashamed.
We talk a lot with my clients about their body, like you said, responding. And we talk about the sense of maybe it didn't hurt. You know, maybe and you dare to say, did that not hurt? Did it feel okay? Did it feel good? You know, sometimes those thoughts, because it was okay and you sat there through the process of whatever happened because it might have felt okay or felt good. That in a sense gives you such a level of shame that we've seen and that we work through at the organization because you're saying, but it didn't hurt. So sometimes we equate abuse to hurt.
Yeah, no, it plays mind. It plays games with your mind.
It is so complex, so complex. And
why didn't I scream? Why didn't I yell? Why didn't I run? All that heaps more shame.
Absolutely. And so those are one of those things that, like, again, like we said with shame, we want to make sure that there's not one particular thought that is breeding so many different like roots of shame into you.
It's an identity. It filters a lot of how you act and what you do.
For sure.
Just some tips here. We want to break free from it. Like you want to break free from that thought pattern and really speaking the truth out loud. You know, if that's in therapy or that's with a friend, but it helps to dismantle and kind of say, I feel ashamed. I'm feeling shame over this and name it and talk about it. Because if it stays in silence, that kind of perpetuates in cycles. You know, you go through this spiral effect. And I've done this before, and it's really helped. But writing a letter to yourself, writing a letter to that little girl or that little boy that went through that abuse, and helping them, giving them the adult advice that And I often tell survivors to look at a child. I will look at a 3-year-old and I will ask myself, did that 3-year-old have any power, any say, any voice, over what was happening? And I think you get more compassion when you think about when your abuse happened and the age of that child, and go, find a child that age. Google a picture of a child that age. Do whatever you have to do to put yourself in a mindset to take the shame off that child.
Yes. Wow. That's super important. Super important. Yeah.
Another good point, you can talk about that a little bit, because you do that a lot in therapy. Rejecting the shame.
I need to borrow your glasses. There we go.
Rejecting the
Yes, rejecting the shame.
We do script notes. Sometimes we go totally off script and we don't follow our notes, but we're trying to follow some today.
Yeah, that's kind of where we are. But one thing that it talks about here is that you stop calling yourself broken, damaged, or dirty. What words are you speaking over yourself? Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and that's scriptural. And I think it is so important for us to make sure that we're not using words that are going to condemn us and keep us in a place that is subject to not coming out of the shame. Like, we want to speak words of encouragement, words of truth, words of, hey, I might not know the word to say. So Angela, like, what should I say? Like, what do I say? I feel shame. What do I say? Who am I? I don't know who I am. I felt this for so long. So get around people that can help you have a full understanding of who God has created you to be and called you to be, so you can speak the right words over your life. And
I was in a cycle for a long time saying I'm sorry. Like, you would say I'm having I don't know, you would say something that would be totally not my fault, and I would say, I'm so sorry. My car broke down, and I was like, I'm sorry.
My car broke down. Or they didn't put cream in my coffee.
It would just be a habit of just taking responsibility for everything. I'm sorry. And if you could identify these patterns in your life, I think it really will help begin to break them. But that's one thing that I have to break. It's like, okay, everything's not my fault.
Wow. Yes. Yeah.
You tend to want to, I think part of the shame too is you want to fix things in your life. You want to, like, I wanted to have a happy family. I wanted my stepfather to stop. I wanted him to be a good daddy. I lived in that place of shame of not being able to fix anything, I couldn't control anything. I couldn't fix anything. And there again, I stayed silent, and then there's shame around that.
Yeah. Wow. Yes.
Darned if you do and darned if you don't.
Darned if you do and darned if you don't. That's true. And again, the inner critic, that's what we're kind of talking about when we talk about, like, the words and just being so critical of yourself. And, those are good things to watch out for, to where you're not carrying the shame anymore and saying things such as, okay, this is my fault, and taking responsibility over things, like you said, that we don't have responsibility for, or saying you're too much, or saying that you're not enough, or whatever it may be. So making sure as well that we don't become our own worst critic. We can't do that when we're dealing with shame.
Yeah. And dealing with healing. I think you have to take the next healthy step and just take inventory of what's healthy and what's not healthy. And whether it's a thought, an action, a relationship. We preach a lot on this podcast about really making those good choices that are, it's going to help propel your healing and not hold you back.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, as I was kind of looking over here at the notes, it made me think about a story with my daughter. But it talks about, like, here on the notes, it was talking about how you heal the generations.
Yes.
And when you heal from shame, you heal the generations. And when my daughter was probably 5 or 6 years old, I would go off. I was working, so I'd be out of town for about a couple of days or so. And I had this and still have, she's amazing, incredible, babysitter that would watch her. And she literally was her grandmother, her second grandmother, essentially. And I remember one day I got back home and my daughter was like, Mommy, I don't like Miss blah, 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 her name. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, you love her. What do you mean? She's like, I don't like her. And I was like, why don't you like her, Gia? And she's like, I don't like her because she doesn't like her. She says that she's this, she says that she's this, and she says that she's this. So I don't like her. She doesn't like her. I don't like her. And I was like, oh, it hit my
how absolutely intuitive.
Intuitive. So she picked up on the shame that my babysitter was carrying to where she then chose not to like what my babysitter didn't like about herself. So she thought that she was, my daughter was like, no, she's overweight, or she doesn't like her hair, so I don't like her hair. I don't like her hair like this, mommy. She doesn't like it. And it just shows how easy our words and how we choose to do things can translate through the generations. My daughter was,
them.
Yes, she was 4 and 5 and picking up something that a 60-something-year-old woman was saying about herself. You know, so I think that kind of just shows the importance of why we have to get healed from shame, you know? So.
And I just want to touch on one point because it's so hard. It's so hard. But if you're in a place of shame because you've covered this up or you've not protected your child, there is always room for healing. There's always room for forgiveness. There's always room for reconciliation. So maybe you're a mother listening and sexual abuse was in your family and your child was sexually abused and you didn't do the right thing and that relationship has been broken. I just want to encourage you to pick up the phone and just say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough to protect you. I'm sorry I didn't have courage to protect you. It's never too late to heal relationships, and we need a whole lot of healing around this situation and around this issue.
Right.
A whole lot of healing.
Right. Absolutely. Definitely take this step to reconcile if you're a mom or a dad or somebody that did not know how to protect your child.
Because you're dealing with a lot of shame.
Yes. Absolutely.
And there's not a lot of people you can talk to about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So hopefully there's freedom in that because there's always healing at the foot of Jesus.
For sure. For sure.
Always healing there.
Yeah. Anything else we want to touch on before we?
Just want to encourage our listeners. I know a lot of you are survivors, that shame is something you can heal from. You can recover from.
Yeah.
It just needs to be very intentional and recognize it. You know, so often we don't recognize the impact of the abuse because it's layered, it's multi-layered. But just encourage you that you can heal from it. I've been able to and are healing from it. I always like to say I'm healing.
Yes.
Because I find that it touches every part of your life, every fiber of your being.
Yes.
But God. We serve a big God who's in the healing business.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we definitely do have resources, information for you that we can definitely put at the end of the podcast at angelasvoice.com, definewithpurpose.com. We have so many resources that help you walk through this process of overcoming shame because you are an overcomer. This is not going to be the defining moment for you. This isn't it. This isn't, like you wrote on there, Angela, this isn't your name.
No.
Shame is not your name. Yeah, that was pretty catchy. But yeah, it is not. And so we just want to make sure and encourage you to make sure that you reach out to get whatever help, resources, again, that we have or whatever you may have available for you as well.
So we thank you so much for listening. If you know someone that could benefit from this podcast, please share it with them. I know survivors have very limited resources, and we hope to be a resource for you. And we're so grateful to Mesmerize Media for making this podcast possible. And I would love and encourage you to support in any way that you can the podcast. Just go to angelasvoice.com and hit the donate button, and we would be so grateful. And we are excited to be with you next week for another episode. Yep. And so grateful for Christa Marshall for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. Absolutely amazing. I feel like I'm learning so much even from being on this podcast. So it's been great. I'm loving it.
Awesome. So I'm Angela Williams.
And I'm Christa Marshall.
Thanks for tuning in.
See you later.
Bye.